Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Talking Heartland podcast. And this is a show where we've recapped every single episode of Heartland. And we are finishing up season 18. It's unbelievable. The season is finished. We're talking about episodes 9 and 10, season 18. I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Michelle is here.
Hey everyone, closing in on 2 decades.
It's really crazy. That's how many years we've been talking about. I mean, for us, it's only been since 2020, but for the cast, it's been almost 2 decades. Wild.
Yeah, it's
But
nuts.
but we missed you last time. We got to have Micah come on and help us recap those 2 episodes. So I guess, what were your thoughts? How do you feel overall about this ending of season 18?
Well, yeah, I'll just want to say thank you to Micah for sort of stepping in at the last minute there. But it was nice to sort of hear that we weren't alone in our sort of feelings of last season.
Yes.
So it's sort of, you sort of live in a little bubble, like you and I of of Heartland, and it's like we don't really know how the fans, and especially because it has different airing times, and then it airs at all
Right.
different times throughout the world as well on Netflix. So you don't tend to get like a general, reaction after every episode.
Yeah.
So it was nice to sort of see that we're all sort of on the same page a little bit. But yeah, I just think this season has just been such a return to form.
Yes.
I think everybody's had moments. I think they've rectified some issues that we've had in the past with certain characters. Some issues that we've had with characters that have just sort of disappeared. Um, that they've brought back with like Shane and things like that. So yeah, I think this season has been a real return to form, and I think by the end of this season they have finally made a decision on Amy's love life.
Yeah.
Like it feels like they've finally just said this is the way that we're going to go. I hope that they don't, even though it's not the way that I wanted it to go. I think from like a show standpoint, I feel like they really need to stick to their guns, and make a real sort of go of this relationship
Yeah.
in order
Because,
for us to really connect with him.
yeah, because last season it was like they were presenting him as a love interest, but gave him
Hmm.
no loving things to do.
Yeah.
There was just nothing swoon worthy about him, and he's a very swoon worthy actor.
Hmm.
But they just weren't giving him anything to do, any reason for us to be invested. And they've done way better at that this time of making us feel invested in him at least a little bit and seeing his perspective. And I mean, I think I agree with you, especially with Lou. I think this is the best season that we've ever
Hmm.
had for Lou, uh,
Yeah.
by quite a lot, actually. I think it's her best season, and I think that the dynamics that you've gotten to see with Tim and Jack and just some of the other characters have all been good. The only real miss for me this season has been Katie, that plot
Hmm.
line. But even that, like, they did a pretty good job of kind of bringing it full circle in
Hmm.
these last 2 episodes with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how they continue with that, because
Uh-huh.
I think they realized I don't think they really know what to do with her.
Uh-huh.
So they were trying all of these different things, and I understand that they probably just didn't want to do Georgie all over again.
Right.
But they also have to understand the DNA of their show and why we watch it. Like, we
Right.
want to see the characters connect with the horses. We want to have those sort of storylines. It would have been interesting to see Katie go into like a different, not equestrian, but there's, as the show's shown us over the years, like a million different things that she could have went into
Uh-huh.
with a horse.
Yeah.
So yeah, I sort of appreciate them trying different things and sort of trying to find a thing that works.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that they could have her start writing like cowboy romances.
yeah,
That could be fun,
yeah.
and then
That's
her
yeah.
maybe as she's writing a cowboy romance, she starts to have a little romance of her
Hmm.
own. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe she's still too young for that, maybe,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know, that would be fun. That would be a fun
Yeah, and she likes like
way to
dirt
go.
biking and things like that, so it'd be like interesting to see her like at the rodeo school and doing things like that because that sort of
Yeah.
ties in with that sort of
I mean, I was glad to see her get this bond with Dodger
mhm.
in these two
Yeah,
episodes because that could be an interesting sort of path for her going forward,
yeah.
you know.
And it's like
So,
a big commitment that she's making. Um,
mhm.
you know, that she is now responsible for this horse, she can't just abandon him.
Yeah. They did a pretty good job making me wonder if Chris Potter and I forget the actress who plays Katie, what's her, Bay McPherson, if they
Mhm,
like wanted to get off the show, they did like a
mhm.
pretty good job of me. Like, she's going to Vancouver, and
Uh-huh.
he maybe is taking this job. I was less convinced that was going to happen, but they did about as good a job as you could do building up those
Yeah,
stakes and making it feel believable.
yeah. And
And
I think they could have had him do that, and then that would sort of explain his absences when he's directing the episodes.
uh-huh.
Um, like they did with Lou being a mayor. You know, there was a lot of times where um, we didn't see the actor because she was obviously directing multiple episodes.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think they do a pretty good job, and I think it's hard as the episode count gets shorter to give everybody those
Hmm.
moments.
Yeah.
I
I know.
mean,
I kind of wish that they would just, not that it matters that much, but like I kind of wish they'd done what Outlander did with them
mhm,
doing 7A and 7B. Because
mhm.
really, like last season really felt more like the lead up to this season.
Yeah, yeah, it was like filler, a whole filler season.
Yeah. It really felt like that. Like if I think of 17 and 18 as one full season, that is like
Mhm.
a pretty satisfying season,
Yeah,
you
just
know?
not it just doesn't stand on its own.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Well, let's talk about episode 9. It's called Leave No Trace. And this was directed by Casimir Downey. And it's Jack and Tim try to mend fences with Nathan on a fishing trip. Amy and Caleb save a horse in distress while Lou finds herself in a dangerous situation. So yeah, this episode was pretty good, I thought, pretty compelling.
Yeah, I really loved both of these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think there was a lot going on in this episode in particular. This was the one with um Lisa and Jessica and all doing the sort of cowgirl thing, wasn't it? Yeah. So there's two episodes
And
sort of blur
Katie.
and Katie, yeah. Yeah, those scenes were so good and
Yeah, it
something
was
that
fun.
they've really leaned into this season and showing the women sort of on because it's a big part of their marketing with their business. So it's nice
Mm-hmm.
to actually see it on screen as well that they're not um they're not being disingenuous with it.
Yeah. Well, and it was nice too to see Katie helping out with the, like being a cowgirl, going out and helping
Yeah.
with the herd and getting the cows and different things, and then saying like, "Good job, Katie, way to go," kind of
Mhm.
thing. Her cutting her hand on the barbed wire, like just getting real down and gritty with the work of being on the ranch, which is just nice
Yeah.
to see. And then also it was nice that she's the one that figures out that Lou is gone, that that there's something wrong. Because so basically, like Lou, she's going to Vancouver, and but then her flight ends up being delayed, and so she goes out on Stetson, and she doesn't tell anybody, so that everybody thinks that she is
It's gone, yeah.
she's in Vancouver. And so then and it's a big ranch, like Heartland Ranch is huge.
Yeah,
So
it's acres, yeah.
yeah. So that's the problem. And the bison charges towards Stetson and Lou. She gets bucked off. Her leg is broken. She can't, to such an extent, she can't get back on the horse. She can't do it. And that was all like pretty well acted, I think, by Michelle.
Yeah, it was all, done very well, and I think they managed to make it, it's pretty obvious the bison wasn't in that scene. It was sort of spliced together, but I think they did a really good job of making that convincing and showing
Yeah, they
that,
did.
Stetson was in between Lou and the bison and protecting her, and not leaving her side. And I thought that was all done very well, and it sort of, the whole season, it felt like it all just sort of came together, this bond that she has with this horse, being more, working on the ranch more and being more hands-on, and it was just nice to see all of these storylines sort of converge. And I think with Lou especially, I think they've been really honest to her character this season, and having her go through all of these things but still have her be Lou. She still had to, have that whole drama with Nathan and his dad and the drama with Katie. So there's still all that Lou stuff there that we would expect with her. But I think with this storyline with Stetson really
I
showed
know.
like a different dynamic and a different side to her. Which is incredible to do when you're 18 seasons in. It must be so hard to come up with new things for your characters. But I think they did a really good job in making, like, that was really emotional, all of that stuff. And I thought she did a really good job. And I think, well done to the show for accomplishing it.
Yeah. Well, and I agree. And I'm always just so amazed how they get these animals to act in this way. Like I would love, if anybody from the show is listening, I would love to talk to one of the animal handlers, because I am just so curious how you get without literally traumatizing a horse like Stetson, like how do you get them to behave in these ways? And it's just,
you might need to.
I'm so fascinated by it.
Yeah, you might need to ask one of the cast to put you in contact with someone.
Yeah, I would love to talk to somebody about that, because I think it's so incredible and what they get Stetson to do.
I was in tears. See, when she sends him away, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Because Stetson is loyal to Lou, staying there by her side, and she has to literally she has to hit him and
throw her reins at him,
yell at him, in order to get him to leave. And he ends up saving her life, but he's traumatized while doing it, and that's more in the next episode. But I don't know, that's amazing to me. And just that's certainly that's certainly the big takeaway from Heartland as a series in general, is just how emotional these animals are. How quickly they get triggered. I mean, and I get it, it's a show, so it may not be 100% accurate, but I think it is incredible, like how emotional and sensitive, and how careful you have to be with them and their feeling. I don't know, I just never would have guessed something like a horse would be so emotionally sensitive.
Yeah, and it's why I think they use them for therapy and things like that a lot.
Yeah.
I think they're one of the most popular in terms. And I know, just like my dog, like on a small scale, Like we had bonfire night a couple of months ago, and he still won't go out at night. Like that says, as he's gotten older, he's gotten more scared of loud noises.
Mm,
And that is just, I think they have tried to like ban fireworks and things like that, and they are banned. The big displays
mm.
are sort of going away more and more. Like you can't have them in the city anymore, but there's still
Oh,
people can still go buy them, so it doesn't stop people from setting them off in their gardens. But yeah, he like still it's months later, he still won't go out at night. So yeah, it's
oh, wow.
animals are just
Very
they have their own
sensitive.
sort of they have their own sort of emotions and things that they have to work through.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. So then we also have this whole thing with uh, Jack and Tim going with Nathan on this fishing trip to try to mend
Mhm.
fences and everything. And at first he says, "Oh, I don't want to go because his dad won't take the medicine,
Mhm.
is being difficult." And Jack says, "It's no good to anyone if you're burned out," which is
Yeah,
very
so true.
true. And anybody who's been a healthcare provider, well, anyone who's been a caretaker of
Mhm.
somebody, it is very exhausting. I don't know how you don't get burnout,
Yeah.
but it's very difficult to do, and it's got to be like very emotional to
Yeah.
see your loved one just start to kind of decay from the inside, and
Mhm.
if they're healthy outside,
Yeah.
that's got to be tough
Yeah.
emotionally.
Yeah, I know
So
for me, like, personally, like, I had some stuff and have stuff, right now
yeah,
that's just really difficult to navigate. And I just had to sort of say, like, I need to take a step back. Um,
yeah,
and I didn't go into work for, like, a couple of weeks because caring for somebody is, it's a full-time job.
yeah.
And yeah, I was having to sort of stay up like crazy hours, and every little noise is sort of sets you
Hmm.
off, and you're
Right.
like, you know having that full responsibility
Hmm.
on your own. I'm lucky that it's sort of shared, but
Hmm.
I had a parent in hospital and having to look after another one, so it was difficult. um
Yeah,
and it's so exhausting. And I think there's a real sort of understanding of that now. I feel like it was something that wasn't really talked about
yeah.
um not
I
so
think
long
so
ago.
too. Yeah, yeah. And I don't had we heard about Nathan's sister before? I
No,
don't remember hearing about
yeah,
her.
yeah, this is completely. I don't know how I feel about it.
Well,
um
it's in the next episode, but
yeah,
still, like the if he had a sister and she hasn't been helping at all with this, like for her to
yeah,
come in and be like,
yeah,
"Well,
that's
I own
horrific.
50%
Yeah,
of the company," like, what are you talking about?
yeah, that's horrific. Like,
Yeah,
hopefully we get into that next season. But yeah, she's thinks highly of herself.
yeah.
That she's just throwing orders around when she's literally done nothing
Hmm. Yeah,
to
like because
help.
I was like, I don't think that we've heard about her.
No,
Maybe there's been a stray line here or there, but I don't remember anything.
yeah, I don't
Um,
remember.
yeah. So we have Jess, she's back, and from her trip, and I guess she just says that the things were tough with her dad, but not much.
Hmm.
We don't get much else, which is too bad. Again, a sign of if this was a 20
No,
episode season like they used to have, we would have definitely gotten a Jess and her dad episode.
yeah, I would have went with
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. Which is, too bad. But but yeah, then so they go out and they are rounding up the herd. So it was fun to see and some good
Yeah,
camera work there.
yeah. I was
Like
about to say the drone shots were
mhm,
were particularly good. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah. And then Jack basically says to Tim, like, you've already made up your mind about this offer. I know you have.
Hmm.
And he's kind of upset about it, and you're going to leave me here with all this, and then it's like it's an end. It would be the end of an era. It'd be the end of an
Hmm.
era.
Yeah, and he has got a point. Of like, Tim has a lot of a lot of things going on already. He has his
Uh-huh.
family. He's getting older. He's got the rodeo school. He doesn't have
Yeah.
Caleb to help him with that anymore. Um, and yeah, he's taken on more with the ranch as well. So I think 3 jobs is a job too far.
Yeah, well, and I think that Jack knows that and knows that
Mhm.
basically, like I said, this would be the end of an
Yeah, he'd
era,
be.
meaning
Mhm.
that this would become like this would be a new phase. Like he
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to do everything. He
Mm.
knows that. And so yeah, it's a nice moment for Jack, kind of admitting that he would miss Kim a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy to
Yeah.
think how far they've come.
Yeah. And so we also have when they're searching, Amy stumbles upon this horse in a barn, this injured horse, and this man with a gun threatening her, accusing her of breaking and entering, everything. And of course, she can't get this horse out of her mind. Caleb's back and he says, "You're going to lose sleep over this, which means I'm going to lose sleep over this, and I need my beauty sleep."
Oh,
And
this is why I'll never give up hope with them. The
I
dynamic is so good.
know,
The dynamic is so good.
I know. And so then the guy he knew Caleb. They went in the rodeo thing, and he's like, "I'll get this guy reminiscing." And then he goes there, and the guy punches him in the face. So that was funny. And I guess Caleb took his lady.
Hmm.
So it's not good. But the back and forth, and Caleb, he really was such a hero. Uh, We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's author Stacey Agdern and her new book, The Dreidel Disaster. From the author of The Dating Contract comes a Hanukkah story filled with hijinks, love, and problem solving. Mayor Olivia Nachman is ambitious and excited to be elected to the county legislature and better serve the community. Artur Rabnovich knows how to spin a story and fix almost any PR problem, but his skills are put to the test when he's hired to help untangle the mess that's been made in the village of Briarwood. This creates a new problem, balancing his attraction to the mayor he needs to work with and the need to impress his new boss. Will Liv and Artur learn to compromise and mix business with pleasure without jeopardizing the project or their careers before the dreidel spins its last? The Dreidel Disaster is the third book in Stacey Agdern's Last Girl Standing series and is available wherever books are sold. For more information about Stacey, go to her website, staceyagdern.com. That's staceyagdern.com. That he says, I thought he had more fight in that. And so Amy and Caleb are talking, and Amy says nothing is going right these days. And she shows the octopus outfit for Lindy. They're doing the Little Mermaid, and Caleb says the hot glue is the secret to all of Carson's projects, which is so cute and endearing.
Hmm.
And it's just about Nathan, stepping aside and not fighting for Amy. And that's when Caleb says, I thought he had more fight in that. And Amy says, I guess I'm not worth fighting for. Caleb says, of course you were worth fighting for. Oh.
You need to stop doing these scenes if they want us to like be all in, because they keep having these like family moments with the three of them, and it's just like it's so easy with the two of them. And I know that a lot of fans feel like, been there, done that, but yeah, I just think the dynamic is so good between them because
it's so good.
obviously
And
those actors are just
I felt like Amy was starting to sort of realize that.
Yeah, I can't read it. I can't decide if the show is closing a door or just leaving it slightly ajar. I can't tell if
the
actress is playing it like she's jealous in the next episode or not. Like, I'm not.
She
Like,
seems concerned about the whole Ashley thing coming up next episode. But then also she seems like completely caught off guard when Caleb says that he has feelings for her, still has feelings for her. And she seems completely surprised by that. And I'm like, Amy, come on.
It's not been. Yeah.
He literally told you that. Like, how can you be surprised?
But she seems jealous, and I'm just like, yeah. I don't know what the show wants from me anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. But they do have a nice moment where Caleb, again, a hero moment where he
Mhm.
says to this guy, he says, "You don't have to end up the villain in your story."
Mhm.
And he talks to him about how he was really upset with everything going on with Carson, but he made him he decided to be a better man. Oh,
Mm.
it was really good. I got myself back on track for my boy.
Ugh,
It's very
I love
sweet.
Caleb.
Yeah, I do too. Because this Dodger, this horse, was his wife's horse, and then
Mhm.
his wife and daughter left, and he kind of just let it spiral.
Yeah.
So that was really moving. And so then we have Katie, like I said, she's helping with the roundup, and Jess and Lisa say you're as much a cowgirl as us, which was really nice moment. and
Mhm.
and then she goes in and she finds Lou's stuff, including her wallet. She's like, she did not go to
The
the
airport.
airport. Yeah. And
Mhm.
so she realizes what's happening, and then they start on the search to try to find Lou.
Yeah.
So that was really good. And Lou's able to reach the radio, and that's how they find Stetson, and then the radio, and so that was all really good. And
Yeah. And even
because
something as simple as like introducing the radios this season, and having all sort of tie back in
that's
at
true.
the end of the season because Lou was the one pushing the keeping in contact using the radios.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That's true.
Tim and Jack, yeah. Tim and
Yeah.
Jack weren't too keen on that.
So what they decide to do as far as the beef war is they're gonna tell Price Foods to end exclusivity, that have both of their.
Hmm.
So that's the deal that they come to,
Hmm.
and that's what the sister says in the next episode. I'm not going to agree to this, and real eye roller.
Yeah, I've got a feeling we're not going to like her next season.
Yeah.
It's going to be a real issue for us.
Yes. And then that's where we get this conversation between Jack and Tim. It'll be the end of an era. I'll miss you too,
Mhm.
Jack. Oh. But they find Lou, and Amy is sitting there with her, trying to keep her talking and keep her active and everything like that. And
Mhm.
that was a nice moment between the two of them as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
this
think
was.
they did a really good job of like portraying how serious it was.
Mhm.
Like, it's sun's going down, it's getting a lot colder. We don't know like how bad her leg is. She's got a concussion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if she's about to pass out, because she has a hit bump on her head,
Mhm.
so she has obviously concussion, things like that. It's not a good situation. But I mean, they had that ambulance was like off-roading it.
Oh yeah, like Caleb riding in with the ambulance behind him. I'm like, seriously, Shaw? Like you don't want us to root for him? Like a hero shot of him like saving the day yet
Yeah, that was
again.
actually in the next episode. But yeah, this
What was it in the next
ambulance,
episode?
I was like, they could have a whole show on
Yeah.
Hudson ambulance, Hudson 911.
Yeah, they should do like the Chicago ones, but just for
Yeah,
Heartland. Like,
yeah, I think so.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
But so this next episode, you have Caleb helping Lindy with the octopus costume, which was just absolutely adorable. And Amy saying, "What am I going to do without you, Caleb?" And I'm just like, oh, oh. Shoot. But
Yeah.
then Lou says, "I thought about the people I love, but I didn't think about the market price of beef."
Yeah.
And Lou asks Amy to forgive her. And then she says, "You should get to be in love," on all the excitement and everything like that. Which, I mean, we've compared Nathan a lot to Peter, and you would think that Lou would have been at least more empathetic of this situation, but I do think that Peter was not outright competing in the same way as Nathan. It wasn't as personal.
Yeah, I think it maybe
Just wanted
started
some
that way,
of their
but
land.
yeah. I think it would just wanted to drill on some of their land, and that was, put an end to fairly quickly.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it wasn't like an ongoing thing.
And so then, but this whole plot between Stetson and Lou was really nicely done. Because Stetson is very upset. And the thing is that not just Stetson being upset, but him being upset causes Lou to have like a panic attack.
Yeah, I thought that was all like acted really well.
Yeah, and she remembers yelling at Stetson. She feels bad, and that's when Amy says, "Stetson saved your life." And so it was all really good, really good. And also Stetson's very upset around the bison.
Yeah. Understandably. I think I'd be upset around the bison as well.
I would too. But it was also nice to see Katie working with this Dodger horse and helping it calm down. And that was really nice. And that Katie is trying to avoid her family, trying to avoid myself. I've heard a lot of people who don't deserve it, especially my mom. And if that's a lesson that Katie can learn at what she's 16, that's a good lesson
15, 16, yeah.
Because it's so easy since parents are the only authority figure that most, I mean, aside from teachers, I guess, parents and teachers are the authority figures that the teenagers have. It's hard for them to see them as fully human people. Because because anything they do that's wrong or flawed is viewed from the lens of hypocrisy. Like, how can you tell me what to do and you just did this, right? And you just, who are you to tell me what to do when you just made this mistake? You just did this, and not kind of realizing that they're just trying to help you grow up. They're just trying to like that they're not like these sort of mini dictators. I think it's easy to kind of feel like when you're a teenager to feel that way. And it's the sooner that you can kind of have that moment of realization as a teen, these are just like human beings. I think it actually, like, I don't know. I just think that's a very coming of age moment of like realizing the humanity of your parents is something that almost everybody kind of goes through eventually. And so if she can do that at 16, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so anyway, she finds out she got into the fine arts school. She says, "Oh, I'm going to move in with Peter, with my dad." And Lou's pretty supportive of that.
Yeah, I was surprised that she was so like, I mean, I guess you can't. It's not like she's moving in with like a stranger. I just felt bad for Peter. He thought he was going to get to see Katie more, but yeah.
Yeah. But then we have Nathan finds Amy and gives her a ride home. They two on the horse. That was very cozy.
Yeah.
That was nice. And he tells her that he's moving his dad into a home, and he's wondering if Amy could help because she's a very calming influence on her dad, on his dad. And so that would be a hard decision, but it seems like he needs more 24-hour care than he can
Yeah.
give.
Yeah, and I think especially if we knew that the sister was like an option, we probably wouldn't feel that way. But like the fact that he's just been left on his own and doesn't have any like family support, um, that's an extra level of
Yeah.
just like, that's just awful.
Yeah. So now Tim is getting cold feet about this. He's going to be gone for weeks at a time. That's tough. That's tough. Understandable why he's who would want to leave Heartland Ranch? Let's be real. And he gets the sonogram picture from Shane, and he's gonna have a grandson, first grandson.
First grandson.
Oh, it's very sweet. That's very, very sweet.
Yeah, I think they've done a really good job with bringing Shane back.
I agree. I would love, and we talked about this last episode, but I would love for them to make Shane and Chloe permanent cast members. I would love that. I don't know what else those actors are doing, but I just think they would be like such an interesting, especially with a new baby. There's so many stories that you could tell there. And I don't know, I just think that would be such a good thing for the cast to have like new young couple. I just think would be so good for. So that's what I would do if I was in charge. That's what I would do. But Caleb tells Amy, says that I lied about changing my route, and he kind of says, "Come on, Amy. I've been wrestling with my feelings for you, and I needed a reason to disappear just for a little bit. I needed to realize I need to move on." So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that proves to be the case. I find it very hard to believe that this Ashley thing. I would be surprised if she's on more than one episode next season.
Yeah, I just think it's crazy to like bring her back if they're not gonna like do anything with her, or if it's not to push Amy in some way, like in the direction of Caleb.
I do not.
Yeah.
I just don't see I mean, I think Cindy's busy enough.
Yeah.
That I don't
10
see
movies
this
a year to make.
Yeah, I just don't see this being an arc at all. So I don't know what they're going to do with it, but I just don't see that being like a real conclusion for his story. And so anyway, Lou says that she wants to do this open house. And they did an open house when they very first started Heartland Ranch after her mom died, and they want to do another one. And the only thing that was just like ridiculous is how could they possibly get the word out this fast about this open house? They're not even sure if they're going to do it. And I'm like, I mean, I know that Heartland Ranch is very popular in Hudson, but like, it just seemed a little, how could they possibly get everybody, noticed and this whole thing? It was kind of funny, but oh well, what are you going to do?
Like a phone tree situation, or just
I guess,
everyone?
yeah, I guess. The email chains, I guess they get it out there and they can get people. So we have Gracie, Nathan's sister. She has no plans for making deals with the competition.
Oh, next season's villain.
I know, it's definitely clear. And we've been chumming it up with the neighbor girl. And so then that Nathan gets a favor for the band to play at the open house. I mean, like I said, they get this thing together in record time. It's unbelievable. And Nathan's dad says, "Do you love her? It's the first person you think about in the morning, the last person you want to see at night." And he says, "There's ain't nothing complicated about that." which was pretty swoony. That was nice.
Yeah. Turn into Jack.
Yeah. And so then we have Ashley there. And it was fun to see Ashley back. I just was kind of like, ugh, we don't need her with Caleb. Come on, Caleb. So Amy does the big demo with Stetson and Lou, and that was a pretty good scene, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So
Yeah.
to Lou, you're not alone now. Everyone you love is here. And that was nice. It was very nice. And you get this whole scene with Lou showing her back to Stetson
Mm-hmm.
and then like building up that trust again. So we also get Lou meeting Gracie, so they're going to be at each other's throats next season for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Feels
Lisa
like a
and
pretty good. Feels like a pretty good dynamic though.
yeah, I think so. So Lisa and Jack met at the first open house. We changed each other. Oh, that's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
and it got Jack to learn how to dance. She did. Yeah. So then Tim says, maybe I've changed my mind. And Katie asks if she can keep Dodger. And so we know that she's not moving. And then she announces that she's not gonna move. And then we find out that he's back together, that Caleb's back together with Ashley. And that's just, I don't think that's going anywhere. Nathan and Amy, I think we have a problem. We agreed to stay apart and had a million good reasons. And then Nathan says, that's not going to work for me. Why is that? Because I love you. And then she says, I love you too. That was pretty good.
It's pretty good. I just feel like I don't know, I feel like we should have got the first kiss before the first I love you.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
he says, so what are we going to do about it? And then we get the kiss.
Yeah, I think the sister just sort of hung over it for me a little bit because I was like, oh, the sister's just going to ruin this.
Yeah, and it did feel a little bit like, does she really love him? Really?
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. Yeah. It was a swoony moment. It was nice. I was fine with it. But yeah, it's a version of love, fine, but I'm not convinced that that we're gonna get like a wedding next season or something.
Yeah, if they keep having these scenes with her and Caleb, then yeah, I'm not going to be supporting any type of wedding.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and so that was the end. That was a pretty good ending for the season, and good wrap up for all of our characters. We have Tim deciding not to take the job. And not wanting to miss being at home. That was very endearing. We've got Katie deciding to stay. We have Lou and Stetson making up. So yeah, very good, very enjoyable. So let us know if you watch these episodes, what do you think of them? And what do you think of the season as a whole? Do you agree with us that it's definitely a bump up from season 18? I mean, do you agree with us that it's definitely a bump up from season 17? Love to hear your thoughts in the comments section or on Twitter. And Michelle, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also check out our playlist with all of our Heartland coverage. We've recapped every episode. Plus we have tons of interviews with most of the cast. And I am working on a possibility of a pretty big one that we haven't gotten yet. And so keep your eyes on the podcast in the coming weeks. Hopefully we have something for you. But we have a bunch, so make sure to check out that playlist and follow us at Hallmarkies Podcast and Hallmarkies Pod all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. It really helps, especially during this time of the year. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our patron group where you can be part of our Facebook group and be part of our activities. Please check that out. We really, really appreciate it. And then we have the merch store where we have a bunch of new holiday movie inspired designs, like from Home Alone, A Christmas Story, It's a Wonderful Life, the whole thing. So check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.